Yeah. I'm trying to screen it. Okay.
Because we need to get it taped all the way in the back anyway, so you can be a little louder.
Oh, we're taping this?
We are.
Oh, cool. Okay, so my name is Nate Moser. This presentation is going to be called the Mono Deal. And for those of you that don't know, I was diagnosed, whatever you want to call it, with mononucleosis back at the sharp end of March, right after team presentation for my cycling team. Ruh-roh. All right. So there were 6 main things that I could really internalize and put on paper that I learned from it, because to be honest, the whole experience really sucked. I am somebody who really hates to sit and feel lethargic. If you couldn't guess, I'm really hugely into cycling. It's something that I'm driving for it to be my career. I'm on the elite, domestic elite team currently, and I'm going to college in Georgia to chase that dream along with being smarter. So we're going to start with the first one, which is it's a different kind of suffering that I went through. So on the bike, I'm used to riding up hills, riding for 5 hours, riding for 6 hours in the rain and in the heat, and it's all part of it, and I still like it, and don't really ask me why, but it's cool. But the different kind of suffering is more of like a paralyzation. And I don't mean to downgrade anybody who's actually paralyzed, because that would really, really be terrible. But for me, it's the sickness essentially lasted for 3.5 weeks. I was bedridden. Well, I call it bedridden. I couldn't really do much of anything for those 3.5 weeks. I couldn't go to work. I went to school, which was okay. But as far as riding goes, it was limited to an hour or less of essentially the easiest that I could just press on the pedals. And it was really more of like a mental release than a physical. And for me, that was really hard, because every day when I go home and I get on the bike, training is kind of like a betterment of myself. And so that will lead us into the next topic, which for me, riding and training is really just a measure for me to get better. In school, I am not the biggest fan of, taking tests and, to be honest, just like learning in general in the classroom setting. I love going out in the real world and trying to do things in a real world situation. And so for cycling, it's a different way for me to do that and to feel like I'm improving myself. Because I really do believe that if you go out with the intention of every single day to get better in some way, you're going to be furthering yourself miles ahead of anybody else in any endeavor you do, whether it's getting a job, starting a business, trying to become a professional athlete. It's something that I really think keeps you motivated and keeps you in check. So one of the things that I really had an issue with, like I said, was just the inconsistency of being able to actually train. And my family can tell you this, that if I come home from a bad training day, or I just felt out of the bike, like I'm a pretty bad person to talk to for a little while, especially if I have to go to work. Like, you should really just leave me alone. So not being able to train and not being able to relieve any type of stress was a huge issue for me. During these 3 weeks, like, I just honestly didn't want to talk to anybody. There were some times where it was a lot easier getting my mind off of it, like doing other things, but this was probably the hardest thing for me to overcome, of just feeling so lazy. But it really kind of taught me how to find other things in life that I'm interested in, and be okay with the fact that, I'm not getting better at cycling right now, but I'm expanding my horizons. And so it really taught me to be a more well-rounded individual. So one of the other things that I'm really bad with, let me see what I labeled it as on the first slide here. Okay, so yeah, my true Achilles heel. For me, I am really good at being consistent when it's easy to be. I'm not really good at dealing with things that come up out of the blue. I like to plan things out. I hate procrastinating. And with training, it's nice because I like to plan out what kind of workouts I do, and I can like make the calendar like all greens on my phone. There's an app for it, and it really satisfies me. And I wrote this up here as a mountain of gold and held it by a toothpick because I found out that for me, going through mono, I realized that when things go bad, and they can sometimes pour out and go really, really bad. And so going through this experience kind of helped me to build up with not just one toothpick, but maybe 3 now. And so I'm a little bit more stable when things go bad. I know how to deal with what was for me a real issue, and that really took a toll on something that I'm trying to make a job for the foreseeable future. And that was something that really, really was hard for me to learn. I hate learning it because it's hard to be flexible, which is essentially the next and the last part of this is, if you can't take the heat, get out. And so being a professional athlete is not just about training when you're healthy. It's not just about being able to get up and feel good when you're actually bad. It's really more about just training it in and out every single day, no matter what you feel like. And if it's time for you to take a rest, time for you to take time away, that's what it's about. And it's being smart enough and mature enough to know that, right now, I can't get better, but in the long run, I'm playing that long game. And that was pretty hard for me because, like I said, I'm not good when things change. I'm good when things are consistent, but it really kind of taught me how to be more flexible and take punches that aren't just out on the road and more about life issues. So it really sucked while I was going through it, but I think and I know that having dealt with it and recovering from it and getting back and building, I'm a better person now